We
are
We are
cultivate.
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 Cultivate. We are Cultivate.
Hello and welcome to a special mini-sode of Ye Olde Crime, the show where Maddie and I discuss the funny, strange, and obscure crimes of yesteryear every Wednesday. This special bi-weekly segment is called Can You Crack the Cramp-Word, which is slang for a difficult or obscure term, which I thought was very fitting. And joining me today is Dustin from the Sandman Stories Presents podcast. And before we begin, I'd like to give him a chance to tell us a little more about himself and his show before we start the game. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you, Lindsay. Thank you. I'm back again, just as much of a word nerd as Lindsay, so enjoying this. And this is my third time on for the Cramp-Word, and I'm hoping to keep the streak up of at least getting one word correct. As far as my show goes, it's just me telling folk tales from the public domain, much like Nuzzle House, except for mine are all folk tales. Oh, and I am starting, I've kept everything free, but I am starting a Patreon for Sandman After Dark because there are some stories that I can't read. They're not family friendly.
Nice.
So I'm lots of stuff to do with bodies, sex.
Yeah.
Like that, because there's a lot of that stuff in folktales. Like one of my favorites is about Coyote talking to two women and offering them a plate of rice, and they're like, this rice is weird, and only the younger sister eats it. They move on, and a little while later she drops a baby, and she's like, oh, so that plate of rice wasn't rice, it was cum. It's like, ooh, wow. Can't read this on the regular show.
Yeah, that's also not how reproduction works, but you know what?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So that's all that's going on with my show. That's all that's coming up.
Nice. I've asked you 1,000,001 questions about your show in the past, but what sort of tales do you enjoy sharing the most?
I really enjoy telling ones that are related to other stories in other cultures. So, for example, I just had one called Singing Bones from Louisiana, and it's actually got another version of it back in Africa.
Okay.
In the Ghana area. And so seeing the story, I just recently did an Armenian and a Turkish story, both about a son who loses his parents, and parents are like, no, don't follow after our jobs, do your own job. But then after they're gone, he finds dad's old equipment and starts doing dad's old job, and yeah, fun stuff like that. So if there's an echo in another culture, if there's something that's common, that really makes me happy because I'm like, oh, I know that.
That's cool. What types of stories are you most drawn to?
What types of stories? I usually like ones that make fun of a ruler or make fun of somebody in power. Mm-hmm. So in Lao, the Sheng Meng stories, there's always stuff about, the king telling him to do this. And he's like, well, you told me to do this. And I was like, not like that. Or even just the one I just told, John Sot, which is French for stupid John. At one point, the king tells him, go fill up this bottle with bull's milk. I'm like, oh, ew. And the next morning, he comes over to the king's house, and he's outside the king's house, and he's just chopping away at a tree. And the servants are like, whoa, what are you doing? He's like, well, go tell the king to come out here, and I'll explain it. The king comes out, and he goes, well, I am getting some bark so I can make some tea for my dad. He just gave birth to twins. And the king's like, a man giving birth to twins? What are you talking about? And he's like, well, you told me to get bull's milk, so if yours is wrong, then mine's wrong too. And just fun stuff like that. And he's like, oh, okay, maybe you're not dumb, John. Maybe you actually got some sense. Anything like that, it upends authority and shows that, just because you're in charge doesn't mean you're always right, which I firmly believe as a second grade teacher.
That's a good a good life lesson.
And don't eat plates of food offered by a coyote.
Yeah, that's just a general rule.
That's the other lesson.
Just don't do that. So, as a reigning Cramp-Word champion, what types of obscure slang terms are your personal favorite?
I like stuff that is punny or makes jokes of stuff. So one of my favorites is Adam's Ale, which is water. Because, there's nobody brewing back then, so Adam drank water, Adam's Ale. Either that or really, really wild ones where you're just like, who came up? This sounds like it comes from Urban Dictionary, not from an actual dictionary. Like,
Yep.
To box the Jesuit and get cockroaches. And I'm like, what? Oh, it's a sailor jerking off at sea. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where's getting cockroaches come in? Yeah.
I don't want to
Throw away your tissues, people. Throw away your tissues. So it's fun stuff like that.
Hello, and welcome to Sandman Stories Presents. This is a podcast where I, Dustin Steigman, read public stories in an effort to either entertain you or put you to sleep. All of the information on the music and sound effects used in the podcast can be found in the show notes. If you want to read along with the stories, visit sandmanstoriespresents.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr. In this podcast, I hope to bring fairy tales and folk tales from the public domain back into people's lives. The stories that I source are from around the world. My main sources are Project Gutenberg and Wikipedia. I hope you enjoy the podcast, and if you want to reach me, email me at sandmanstoriespresents@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you.
So now that we have the questions out of the way, let's do some cramp words.
Oh, yeah.
So your first term is slinging the hook.
Slinging the hook. All right. This doesn't have anything to do with the campfire story, so it's not going to be a hook in a car door handle. Slinging the hook. I'm guessing at that time, hooker was not a term, because that didn't come until, I think, the U.S. Civil War-ish. I think, if I remember correctly, it's like putting up a sign saying you're in business, you're ready to go in business, you're showing what your job is or something like that. Something to do with... I should have asked for a sentence.
You can ask for a sentence still if you want.
Can I get a sentence?
Sure. When he saw the policeman, he slung his hook.
See, that makes me think it's not slinging your hook as in showing what your job is, but maybe hiding stolen goods or hiding yourself from slinging a hook, like a grappling hook maybe? All this going through the ADD brain. Could be this, could be that, could be this. I'm going to say he went into hiding. He dipped out. It's like, nope, bye, copper.
You would be correct. Slinging the hook is a Georgian term for running away or escaping.
Huh.
To hook it, which means simply to leave in a hurry, apparently was a common phrase all over Britain, Ireland, and America at one point or another.
Huh. Wonder if it's related to book it.
I think so, yeah. Like, I'm going to hook it.
Yeah.
I couldn't find an exact year for that, but...
Okay, I thought there was a thing about slinging your hook as in like setting up shop or something like that. Maybe I'll do some research offline.
Maybe that came later.
Quite possible.
All right. Your second term is learn French.
Huh. That's got to be kissing or oral sex. That's the connotations of French or swearing. All right, I'm going to do the smart thing and ask for the sentence before I get into all the stuff.
Sure. They'll learn you so much parley French, from you shall come a rotten stench.
Oh, ugh. The rotten stench thing has put me out. Like, I'm going to go with oral sex.
Okay. You're not far off. To learn French is to become infected with syphilis.
Oh.
Yeah, not good.
Okay. Oh.
And apparently this, according to Green's Dictionary of Slang, this term was first introduced in 1629.
Okay, I love green. Great free online reference or resource. It's, yeah, oh.
Yeah, if you go on Green's Dictionary of Slang and just search French, the bulk of it has to do with oral sex, some sort of sex, or syphilis.
Well, I know a French letter is a condom.
Yeah, like there's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that back and forth between it. It's same as England and the Netherlands, where you got Dutch this, Dutch that, Dutch oven.
Yep.
All those. Well, I wanted to play a little bit of an Uno reverse card because you're always the genius, the smart person on the podcast. And so I've got a couple of etymologies that I wanted to see if you think that they're related or not.
Okay. Sounds good.
You up for it?
I'm up for it. Let's go.
All right. The first one is salad and sausage.
Salad and sausage. I'm going to say that they are related.
Very good, very good. They're also related to the word salary. That all comes through salt. In fact, salad is just the second half of herba insalata. So it's salted or seasoned herbs. And sausage is a salted meat. And salary, getting your pay and salt and all like that.
Nice.
What about think and thank?
Think and thank. I'm going to say no.
They're very distantly related, but they are related from a Old English, I think it's thionkan, which is kind of to feel or something like that. But if you think like sing and song, think and thank.
Gotcha.
So I'm kind of like I'm thanking you, I'm thinking of you, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
And that was one that was really like, really? Those are related?
Yeah.
And so the last one, we're going to go have some fun with this last one.
Okay.
Nachos and Nazis.
Nachos and Nazis. Because they're not your friend. Sorry.
No.
Why not? Okay. I'm going to say they're related.
They are, in fact, related. Nachos, named after their creator, Ignacio. Ignacio gets shortened in Spanish to Nacho. And the German form of Ignacio, which is just, Latin Ignatius, like igneous rocks, full of fire and stuff like that. The German name is Ignaz. And Ignaz is kind of a yokel, clodhopper, country mouse kind of person. And the shortening and nickname version of Ignaz is Nazi. So yes, Nazis and nachos are related to igneous rocks.
That is hysterical.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you're just like, nachos. Let me tell you about nachos.
That's awesome.
I just wanted to throw that in because you've always got the cool words. You've always got the fun stuff. There's another show, Because Language, that does this quite regularly. Their linguistics podcast, and I'm a big fan of theirs. And I was like, oh, it would be cool. And the other thing is, I had a whole bunch of dictionaries. I'm like, well, I could get Lindsay with something from the dictionary, but yeah, it was just a little something to bring to the show, just to say thank you.
That was really fun. Thank you. Now I can use that
pleasure.
at parties. Be like, you will never guess what two words are related. Well, I would like to thank Dustin for joining me today for Can You Crack the Cramp-Word? And before we go, can you please tell our listeners where they can find you on social media and when new episodes of your podcast come out?
Podcast comes out every Thursday morning, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, so 7:30 my time, because I'm not cool enough to live in the Midwest, that far west. I'm on the east part of the Midwest. And then to find me, pretty much if you just search for Sandman Stories or Sandman Stories Presents, you can find me on all the social stuff. I'm moving more to Threads from Twitter for reasons. Yeah. And I'm also on Instagram, I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on YouTube, I'm Sandman Stories Presents at gmail.com if anybody really wants to talk to a word nerd. I'm always out here, so that's about it.
Awesome. And on that note, as always, I'm Lindsay, and I'll see you next time with another tale as old as crime.